One final segment of the Sports Buzz. I'm almost there.
This is March.
It is March. Nick, that doesn't mean we can't talk football, though.
No.
The XFL in full swing.
Yep.
I don't know. The Renegades play today. Again, we can't talk about it because it hasn't
Oh,
happened
they
yet.
won. Austin McGinnis kicked all the field goals.
Game-winning field goal from Austin McGinnis.
that happened.
I think that probably did
Good job,
happen.
Austin.
But from the NFL side of things,
Yes.
you were at the Combine in Indianapolis, tracking some of the Kentucky guys that were there. Biggest takeaways, anything that the viewers should know about?
I think the biggest takeaway is what I missed at the Combine, and
Oh, great.
that's what happened when the media room ran out of Diet Pepsi. Pandemonium ensued. The NFL reporters, nobody. I mean, it was chaos, utter chaos, and I just wish I could have been there to witness it all when the Diet Pepsi.
I'm
ran out.
honestly glad you weren't there. That could have
gotten
been
ugly.
harmed. Yeah, there could have been a trident. Who knows? So,
Yeah, it would have been real bad. But in the actual takeaways, Logan Stenberg and Lynn Bowden, they were on the UK side of things, spoke to them this week, spoke to some of the NFL coaches. A lot of fun. Lynn Bowden, he's really selling himself on, hey, listen, I don't need a position. Just put me wherever and I'll figure it out. He did not participate in the actual workouts, which might actually come to benefit him because at the NFL Combine, you can have some people really jump off the page and post impressive numbers. Louisville's Mekhi Becton was one of them. He ran a 5'1", 40-yard dash at 376 pounds. The heaviest guy at the Combine was one of the fastest offensive linemen at the Combine.
And watch the video of it. Just imagine like being in his way.
Oh, you would die. It's like a car wreck.
So.
It really is.
Much faster than Tom Brady.
But a lot of people, they don't go out there and like wow. Instead, it's more about not messing up. And Bowden, he shrunk that margin of error. He's going to run in his pro day. He did a solid 13 on the bench press, which is a good number for a receiver. Logan Stenberg, he tested about where I expected. Good numbers in the agility drills. And Stenberg, he's really trying to sell like, hey, I'm versatile and I'm a smart football player who can play nasty. All those penalties I got, those were aggressive penalties, and some of it was he kind of was a mark for a while, where they saw that number 71, and officials were a little bit more liberal with their flags in his case. But all in all, good performances by the local prospects there. Mekhi Becton going to be a first-rounder.
Maybe a top 10 pick.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills, another guy who's going to end up being a top 10 pick, a kid from Lexington. So a lot of exciting things at the Combine, and really it's just kind of crazy to see all of these NFL folks in Indianapolis for 1 week a year.
Yeah, and Nick had all the coverage over at Kentucky Sports Radio, did a great job with that. For a non-football Freddie like myself, what would you say the biggest difference between a guy like Becton and Stenberg would be? Obviously, I thought Stenberg was great. I think he's being projected third round.
About
Obviously,
third round, right.
The penalties were an issue, as you had mentioned. But just for football folks, what makes a difference in an offensive lineman so drastically? We were talking maybe 90 spots.
Different rounds.
Sure.
Well, some of it is just based on film, footwork. Like, some players are just different kind of athletes, especially at that offensive tackle. And the big thing is really, it's all about the position. Offensive tackles are your top pass protectors, so they're going to go at a primo. It's kind of like quarterbacks.
Sure.
Like, what they can do for your franchise means so much, so that you're willing to take them early, and that's what it's like for offensive linemen. You've got to be able to, offensive tackles in particular, you've got to be able to protect the quarterback. For interior offensive linemen, guard, center, they just call them IOLs. And they're kind of they're the last picks to go, really, out of all the positions, because they think we can take a guy and we can move him down. So really, third round is kind of on the higher side for an interior offensive lineman.
I felt like that was a good breakdown. And we're appreciative. And also, like you said, Becton is a freak.
Yeah,
like,
absolute
those
athletic
measurables,
freak.
you can't top that. So congrats to him, and it'll be fun to see where he ends up along with the rest of
NFL
the
draft
Wildcats.
is about 2 months away. You have pro days over the next month where things kind of shake out. And the big stuff happening this week, TJ, you got spring practice starting for the University of Kentucky Wildcats.
You're taking me everywhere I want to go, Nick, and I really appreciate that.
I got to pick you up after a rough February 29th.
Absolutely. Well,
March
again,
0th.
March 0th. But we can talk about that a little bit later. I was a little disappointed to see the spring game's not going to be on television, but this was a strategic move from Kentucky.
Yep.
It will be April 11th. It'll be a Saturday.
Saturday at noon.
Same day that Louisville City will open their new stadium
Right.
down.
So you could do a little twofer if you wanted to.
You really could. I think that's going to be an evening game for Louisville City, so that will be fun. But before you get to that, you're going to have the spring game, not on TV, but they want more recruits coming to the game.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, especially for Mark Stoops, is it's why a lot of high school teams wait to do their spring is just because it's an active recruiting period. And when they had it on a Friday night, it was good for fans in one aspect, but you couldn't have people traveling from the western part of the state, even folks in Lexington, just fighting through Nicholasville road traffic to get to Kroger Field in time for kickoff was difficult. So it won't be on TV. You don't get the prime time Friday night feel, and it's got a battle with Keeneland and Easter weekend. That's the one. Those are the kind of sacrifices they're making to get recruits on campus. But it's a big recruiting event, so you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. All right. So as we've mentioned several times, this is March. This is the best month, but this could be my co-host Nick Roush's last month without a child.
Yep.
Nick, we got you something.
Oh.
For the future little guy.
Oh, thanks.
Nick is expecting to have a child, him and his wife. Is it March or is it April?
The first weekend of April.
Oh, right during the Final Four. Good timing.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully I'll be watching from the maternity ward.
And the Cats
Kentucky National Championship.
The Cats will be in Atlanta, ideally, but very excited. You've taken some baby classes. What's your biggest baby takeaway? Expensive.
Yes, baby's very expensive. Also pretty cute, and they poop a lot. And they sleep a lot, and they cry a lot.
Sure.
Yes. So I think the average time for...
Sounds like our buddy Trevor Kelsey.
Yeah, the average time for new parents to sleep is 4 hours and 44 minutes a night, or a day.
Oh, goodness.
So I have that to look forward to.
You are stat ready. You've been through the ringer.
Oh,
you know that
through the
stuff.
gamut.
Well, that's very exciting. And last March Madness without a kid, you're gonna live
exciting.
It up?
Exciting. Oh, definitely. St. Patrick's Day, you're in trouble.
Sure.
Good thing I got a sober driver soon.
All right, so Kentucky in this next week, they play Tennessee at home. It's a late one, 9 o'clock on Tuesday night. That'll be senior night for Nate Cecina. Is that it? Is that the only senior? I mean, it'll be saying goodbye to a lot of other players,
only senior,
obviously.
so see you later. They're going to win that game, and then
Florida on the road. This is the big one. You get through that, then you're probably going to win the SEC tournament. Do they get by? When we're talking next Sunday, will the Cats have beaten the Gators?
2-0, 10 straight wins to close out the regular season. Cats on top.
I like that. And if they do that, even then you got to start looking at them as potentially a 2 seed. We're 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday.
I forgot something. The Lynn Bowden rule.
Oh, the Lynn Bowden rule,
Real quickly, they're changing to where refs can now call penalties 90 minutes before kickoff instead of 60 after Bowden gave them a little ha in the Belk Bowl.
Also, they're proposing to make replays no longer than 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Anything besides 2 minutes, then they have
Good
to stick with the original goal.
to college football and great things in college basketball this month. It's March.
We did
it.
All right, thank you for
Congrats.
watching. He's
We
Nick
made it.
Roush. I'm TJ Walker. We'll see you next week.